Hey, Summit Daily viewers, this is Antonio Olivero, sports and outdoors editor with the Summit Daily News. I'm here with a couple of Breck locals who I'm sure many viewers are well aware of, maybe friends with Cody Cirillo and Kellyn Wilson, Made In Voyage. Hey guys, Made In Voyage is their new ski film project. It's kind of their baby, and so excited to chat with them on this narrative-driven ski film that is full of pow shots, and just a really cool creation that they made. So yeah, Cody, maybe why don't you start the origin story of what comes to be known as the Honeyhouse bus? Where did you find it? How did you find it? How did this thing start off? And I'll be sure to mute, here in Zoom so we can give you the full spotlight. Go ahead.
Cool. Thanks. Thanks for having us, Antonio. We love the Summit Daily.
We do.
The best newspaper in mountain towns.
Hands down.
But the bus, we first purchased what is now the Honeyhouse bus in Blackfoot, Idaho. I found it on Craigslist. Just a couple old photos of this bus, and it looked kind of sketchy, but I think the year and the curves that it had really were something that stuck out to me, and I was just excited about the creativity and the opportunity that it presented. So I went out to Blackfoot with my parents that summer after I'd seen it, and we checked out the bus. It wasn't really running, and it was shooting oil, and it was just like this old school bus with no seats in it, and it was in really rough shape. Like it was in bad shape. Mm-hmm. The brakes weren't even really working. You had to kind of downshift to brake it. But after kind of, thinking about it a little bit, ended up purchasing it. And then going back to Idaho a couple months later to try to drive it back to Colorado the first time, which didn't work out because we found out shortly after that 60 miles in, the engine had a knocking noise in it. So the engine was toast. So we had to get a new engine and get a couple other things fixed on it again. And then after that, we got it back to Colorado the following December. So it's kind of a long process to get it started, but once we had it, we were pretty psyched to begin working on it. I think Kellyn and I had always envisioned creating our own space using something like a van or a trailer or tiny home, and the bus was kind of that perfect opportunity, albeit not the most practical as the 1960s bus is, but it let us have something to work on.
Awesome. So I'll throw it over to Kellyn in a second. Cody, you're a Breck born and raised guy. It sounds like that ski bum ethos kind of always rang true with you. And it sounds like this was something you guys were hoping to do for a while. And when you saw the bus, that was an epiphany of sorts. Correct me if I'm wrong, but throwing it over to Kellyn, Cody's an artist. What did you think of all this? What's your input on all this, and what was it like when it started to come to fruition and you realized this was going to be a story you were going to tell together?
Yeah, well, we're both very similar in our artistic thinking, I'd say. I think neither of us really wanted to do it in a typical fashion. We didn't want to get a Sprinter van or something that just wasn't that unique and quirky. That was what was really appealing about the whole van life to me, is this specific bus. It was like a basic RV or Sprinter just wouldn't have done it for me. So when we found this, and as you'll see in the movie, I was in South America at the time, and Cody bought the bus, and I knew it was bad because he didn't tell me very much about it. He was like, it's pretty good. It runs okay. I knew it was bad. So when I got home, I kind of knew we were in for a lot of work, but when we started building it out and really saw how much needed to be done, it was apparent to me, but I was all for it because it was so special. Yeah.
Awesome. So, on the topic of van life, I think a lot of readers and viewers out there can respect maybe the next question I have for you and have an appreciation for it. On the 1 to 10 scale and the heap scale, the heap is a term I think so many people use here in mountain towns to describe their vehicles. But my roommate Billy, it's a term he uses affectionately for his Jeep. So on the heap scale, 1 to 10, Cody, how bad was this? And then we'll go over to Kellyn. She can give her own rating. How bad was it, and why on the 1 to 10? 10 being a dumpster fire.
Do you want to say them at the same time?
Okay, we'll say it at the same time and see if we agree. Let me think.
Sounds good. Yep.
So 10 being the biggest heap.
10 dumpster fire in the middle of the Uller Fest celebration. Yeah.
Which is what happened. Okay, ready? One,
Yeah.
2, 3,
8.
8. Oh.
So go ahead, Kellyn. Why an 8? And then we'll throw it to Cody.
Well, so this is kind of a fun backstory of why we call it the Honeyhouse too. So it had, once we took all the roof panels down, it just had years and years of petrified bees and beehives in it. And it was just like littered with these dead bees. It was just like every time we took something out, there was another crazy petrified something or other in the panels. So it was just like decrepit from the inside out. But if you see, we've seen some of these buses on the side of the road and they're in like 10 times worse shape than our bus was. So we could at least fix it up and drive it. Like it was still intact enough. Pretty much everything has been replaced, save for like the metal on the side. But I think that's why it's an 8. There wasn't a lot that wasn't heapish about it. That's for sure.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, you kind of nailed it on the head. I think the amount of mechanical work we had to do is like, that would be like extreme heap side of things. And then, you know, the heart in it is at the like lower end of the heap scale. So that we're excited for it. We knew it was going to be a lot of work, but we knew we could do it. We had YouTube, and we had, my dad helped us out a bunch too with working on it.
Yeah, and
like
neither of us knew
time.
anything going into this, so it was pretty bold of us to think that we could take this on.
So just to remind readers, you know, it'll be next Thursday, November 12th. I have a few more questions for you, but just want to make sure I remind them. Next Thursday, November 12th, via being hosted on Picture Organic Clothing, where the Honeyhouse bus in this day and age of coronavirus and COVID-19 will be making its premiere. Definitely recommend, you know, taking a half hour out of your day there, 7 p.m. Thursday, November 12th, a week from when we're doing this interview, to check it out. Again, hosted by Picture Organic Clothing. We'll have the link in the description, in the bio, whatever I'm supposed to say here. But anyway, bringing it back to the improvements, Cody, and then we'll get into the skiing here in a little bit. Before you're able to take the bus, as people see in the film, and to Breckenridge Station to start your journey there, what were the improvements that come to mind in terms of like the hardest ones, but also second part of that question, like the cool things you're able to do? Because as people see in the film, you have a stove in there, you have a lot going on. So like, what were the hard things, and then what were the cool things you're able to make of this bus? Almost like looking at a home you're working on, being like, actually, we're going to be able to do that over there, kind of a thing.
Yeah, definitely. I think the hardest part was just, you know, the first step, that first nail or whatever we did. I think we kind of had an idea of the layout that we wanted to create in the bus. You know, we started with the blank canvas inside, so we ended up ripping down all the panels inside, insulating every part of it, insulating the floor, putting some flooring in, insulating the walls, and then we had this whole like place to kind of play with and figure out the exact configuration that made sense for us. You know, we knew we were going to be traveling at it in the winter, so we needed a place for a wood stove and other heating elements. We wanted to have, you know, more or less a full kitchen. They've got a tiny fridge and a nice retro RV stove we were able to pick up. I think the most exciting part though is kind of as we progressed through the build and started learning so much more, like you can see the woodwork just get so much better by the time we were finished.
We went clockwise, and at 1 o'clock, the craftsmanship is a little bit subpar. And by the time we get back down to 11 or 12, it looks so good.
Yeah, so I think we just learned so much, and that was the biggest takeaway from the bus is, you know, we put something up, we could fix it, we could take it down, we could do whatever we wanted, and we can still kind of do that today with the bus inside. We could do whatever, I think. And
I think the hardest parts we had to get help with things like the electric and putting in the solar panels, because that was just, we wanted to make sure it was done right. And so that was probably the hardest part, but we had a lot of help from some local electricians too with the solar panels and the electricity in the bus.
Yeah, and my Uncle Mike.
And Cody's uncle.
Shout out Uncle Mike. Breckenridge is a town where so much, as you guys, as locals, Cody born and raised, revolves around that Breckenridge building center. So I think Cody touched on it before. You guys were pretty much, because a lot of ski people, ski bums are half ski bums and then half like T. Holmes that works in trees, and a lot of people in the community, they're both crafty and skiers. Were you guys more on the crafty side, or I think Cody was hinting at it, you guys were kind of total noobs to everything, and it was really a learning experience?
Yeah, more or less. I think I've always been craftier in a way with like, don't know, like Boy Scout projects when I was younger, working in the garage with my dad and working on little wood things here and there, and just kind of with an artistic touch to a lot of stuff.
Okay, so you brought a Boy Scouts background. You did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
for
Okay.
sure.
Cool.
But with my dad kind of helping, and he's not the most experienced guy, but he knows a lot.
They're very good at just, Cody
figuring
can
it
read
out.
a manual or look something up and just learn how to do anything. So that was to our advantage for sure.
Yeah, we knew we could figure it out. We had YouTube on our side too, and there's so many things that you just have to try, and then you'll see if it works or not, and you'll find a way to do it. Yeah.
Awesome. So I think people, when watching this film Thursday, November 12th, 7 p.m., watching this, the first thing they'll notice is the voiceover and the guy who kind of narrates this thing. Patty O'Connell, once you watch the credits, is his name. And I was like, that guy would sound like a Patty O'Connell. But using Patty as a transition into the friends, the people who help make this a reality, how would you describe your group of friends and the ski bums at heart, perhaps, who helped to make this narrative ski film what it is, and what I think will resonate with a lot of locals? Who's your crew? What are they like?
Oh yeah, I mean, I think from everyone who helped us with any part of the bus, we had every friend that came over helped with something. So there's a little bit of everyone's work in the bus. And then even in the film, you see we stay at a bunch of friends, driveways that we can park the bus in, or we go to a town and meet a new friend and they show us a spot that we wouldn't have gone to skiing. I mean, anyone who skis knows that's why we ski, is for the community. It's unlike any other sport in that aspect. You have your people. So I think, yeah, that was definitely, we couldn't have made the bus without it. We couldn't have done this movie without our friends. I think that was a huge, huge part of it all.
Yeah, I think the bus itself too, like how unique and fun and quirky it is, it really breaks down all these different barriers of entry for people to come hang out, come want to like indulge in ski culture and want to talk and ask about it, whether it's, I don't know, a 70-year-old mechanic in the Midwest somewhere where we've broken down, or some ski bums in the Mount Baker parking lot. Like, so many people can have a tie to that bus, and I think it's super exciting to watch that and to be able to experience it.
I think people's takeaway from this film is the fact that it has shots. Well, it has shots quality enough to be in, kind of a boom, boom, boom. We're throwing one line after another ski film, but also this narrative component that is definitely, unique, but also helps to keep the story moving. So how important was it to you guys to balance that duality of ski film quality stuff where we're not going beneath the standard, but also what I think is the heartbeat and the soul of the film, which is the narrative? But describe the thought behind that and that marriage.
That was definitely our purpose going into this film. We wanted to make something different. We didn't want to have any interviews or any traditional style of filming in it. I wanted the writing to speak for itself and have that be like a more artistic, just a more beautiful way to look at skiing in this. And it's kind of like a Wes Anderson-y kind of quirky version of skiing that, and I talk about this a lot, but I think there's room for every type of skiing in the world of skiing. Like, we wanted to make something more artistic and quirky, and that's fine. And then, other movies can have their bang, bang, bang ski porn kind of film. So I think there's room for all of us. And I think this is just what we wanted to show. And it was more our personality and more our pace. So we wanted equal parts story and adventure and the trip with the skiing. So I think that's what people will see in the film.
Yeah, and I think just with this bus and with the opportunity we had to create this film, we wanted to make sure that the story was about the bus. It wasn't about only skiing and only ski porn. Like, this bus is so unique, and there's such a big story around the bus, from, the creation of it to finding it to the adventures that we've taken through it and breaking down and every piece like that. And it's a story that you can't always tell. So we had the opportunity to do it, and wanted to make sure we did it in a way that felt authentic to us and to the overall vision of the bus and how we want it to be perceived.
And to the bus. This is what the movie The Bus would have wanted.
Yeah.
Real quick on that, I had a different question until the last 5 seconds. What are the character and personality traits of the bus? People obviously see in the film some scenes that I think they'll be like, wow, I must imagine what that would have been like to live through that deep in a winter night. But yeah, personality traits, character traits of this bus. Sounds like you almost treat it as like a third character. So what are some of those personality and character traits?
Yeah,
Mm.
man.
An old soul for sure, but still like
Kinda
has a
like
lot of life left in it.
yeah,
That's what we felt.
road vet, but has like this new beginning.
Yeah. Like I think the bus is happy to be back on the road. Like that lot rot thing that people talk about when your car sits in the lot for a long time and then doesn't run. Like I feel like the bus is so happy after we've driven it for a long time, it works so well. So I think it's happy to have a new adventure, and it's still got a lot of life left in it. So I feel happy that we can give it that. I get really attached to things like that. So I'm definitely attached to that bus.
Awesome. I'm not sure how many more minutes I have left. Normally on Zoom, they give you a countdown, like only 4 minutes remaining, but just a couple last questions for you guys. Then we'll let everyone else learn more about the film by watching it. Um, some ski specific and some just more general. The choice of the road gap. I think in a bus movie like this, in the whole process, you're like, okay, there's going to be a road gap scene at some point where somebody's doing something over a road and deep in powder. Why that spot? Where was the spot? If you don't have to completely describe the honey hole for the honey bus, but why that spot? And just take us through that thought process.
This is a Cody answer.
Well, we can give the background of that day too.
It's a long story, but yeah.
So that gap it's kind of an infamous gap up in Mount Baker, in Washington, and ever since we got the bus, I'd always sort of dreamed about jumping over the bus
on that spot.
And I knew that was the one because I had seen it, in snowboard and ski movies from back in the day, and it was just like, that's where I want to do it. It's just beautiful. We had been to Baker, a couple of years in a row at this point, and we just love Baker as well. And we knew we'd be going there at some point. So we're like, we wanted to do it.
In every process of building out the bus, Cody would always talk about taking it to the road gap. So, and we went there the year before and didn't get to do it. So we went to Baker twice in the bus in 2 winters, and the first year it didn't pan out. And so it was a lot of build up for this one. And it happened, and it was.
Well, so it was pretty much the whole time we were in Baker this winter. We were there for about 3 weeks. It almost rained every single day. We were kind of just there in the bad part of the year. But the transmission in the bus ended up going out when we were in the Mount Baker parking lot, as I kind of see in the film. But it happened where we got towed down from Mount Baker and got a new transmission put in kind of the next day, and immediately drove right back up to Baker because we knew the road gap was going to happen. It was finally snowing up there. So we drove right back up, and then the day kind of came where the snow was there, and we, I don't know, kind of made it happen. It was a super stressful day. You kind of don't sleep in the bus normally because of how cold it is and how just difficult it is. So trying to go hit like an 80-foot road gap is a little daunting and heavy, but yeah, it worked out, and we're excited for you all to watch it.
Awesome. So I'm not getting any warnings here from Zoom. I think it might be because it's a one-on-one interview rather than like a group chat. So I think hopefully we have enough time for a few more questions. This is a film where you watch it, and like I was saying to you guys before we were casually chatting, it's not like you're showing the ski footage and it's like Jackson, Wyoming, and it tells you where it is. This is a film where, and I think you guys say it in the film, is like where we are, where this film is almost more of a sensibility. So to that point, I think when watching this film, for me, especially in the wake of this crazy news cycle where we're recording this a couple days after, the election and stuff, this is a film where you guys stress almost detaching, and you stress living in the now, living, there's a great quote in there, not to ramble, but where you guys are like, we're going to do it right now, and it's about the right now. The battleship scene stuck out with me when in between the ski film shots, it's you and whichever buddy playing some battleship, and I don't think once did I see a cell phone or anything like that. And there's sometimes I watch ski films and part of the transition is we're at the spot, my homie rolls down the window and he's on his phone looking at something, like, hey, whatever it might be. Not that that's wrong, it's just different. So rambly question, but that whole sensibility of an emphasis on detaching, how much is that a part of not only this movie but who you guys are as skiers within the ski community? It seemed like that was a big part of the soulful message you were trying to convey.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, we talk about personality traits of the bus, and that's part of what it reminds you to do is go at a slower pace and remember how things used to be, like this ski culture route that we always dream about. We really could live it in the bus. a lot of times we didn't have enough solar to have electricity to charge our phones, things like that. So we had to use them sparingly. And so we ended up playing a lot more board games or reading or using candlelight to cook. And it was just, it's a great reminder to do that when you're not living in the bus, when you're at home, or if you're on a ski trip, you know, maybe treat it more like that special thing that it is. And that was a great reminder that the bus gives us all the time. Yeah.
Cody, anything to add to that?
Yeah, you said it super well, Kel. But the bus itself, you know, you start to live a bit more intentionally when you're in the bus. When you get done from skiing, you're not just sitting on your phone, you're chopping wood for a fire, or you're figuring out how to dry things out, or you're shoveling off the roof. Mm-hmm. You're doing a lot of these more kind of, I don't know, natural activities.
Yeah, and things that really force you to be in the present.
Yeah.
Like when you're putting chains on the side of the road on the bus, like you're in that moment, or when it's broken down, or when you're trying to figure out the fireplace to not smoke yourself out. Like it's every action in there is really makes you be very present. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's so appealing. It's so hard in the moment and so appealing and beautiful afterwards. That type 2 fun.
Awesome. So to wrap up here, the bus is this third character and really the lead character in the movie. Although I think, you know, you guys are very humble. Maybe, you know, give yourself some credit for the thought and the concept and the creativity and the art behind it. But what's up with the bus now? Where's it at? How's she doing? Does she have a few more weekends left in her, kind of a thing? Or, you know, where's she at? I think people was watching this and viewing this and even viewing the movie might wonder, like, what's the current and future for the bus, and feel free in responding to that to like paint the picture of like you know, some of the struggles she might have gone through.
Yeah, definitely. The bus right now is up in Breckenridge. It's kind of just hanging out. I think during this time too, especially during the pandemic, we've tried to limit our travel and, you know, have not been using the bus this summer, just trying to be respectful about everything. There's a back brake that needs a little bit of work as well, so we're working on that and making sure that it's ready to go for the next adventure we can use it in.
But other than that, it's doing really well.
Which is great.
We start her up all the time, works so well. Yeah, I think we've replaced everything by this point, so everything's newish in some way or another. So I think she's shaping up good for another few more adventures.
Awesome. And if people see it being driven around town, you know, obviously they might recognize it from the movie, but what exactly is the bus again, you know, in terms of make and model?
Yeah, it's a 1962 Chevrolet C50 with a Superior bus chassis. It's about 23 feet long. It's a nice.
It has a little chimney with a little red top on it, and it's white and yellow. Yeah, you'll hear it before you see it.
Or you'll be stuck behind it.
Or you'll be stuck behind it. That's possible too.
well, you know, an Ullrfest appearance in its future, or you know, I this year I know Ullrfest is up in the air. It probably won't happen because of the pandemic, but I just feel like that would be the next logical place for it, almost like an old timers day for baseball, like the old if there aren't more adventures, like the old baseball players come back to Yankee Stadium and play one time. Maybe Ullrfest once she's out to pasture is where she returns every year. I don't know, I'm just spitballing here.
Oh, I love that. Ullrfest is our Super Bowl. That is the best part of, yeah. Oh,
actually, funny story, the first year we had the bus in Breck, we kind of barely started to do anything mechanically to it of our own, and we knew it needed some work. But we brought it to the Uller Parade, and we had a float with it. This is probably like 3 years ago now. And about, I don't know, a quarter of the way through the parade, the bus died.
Middle of the parade. At the peak of it, with everyone around, it died in the middle of the parade and stopped everyone else. I'm sure people remember this because everyone in the crowd was coming out to push the bus, and we pushed it, and we had Mustache Matt in his rock crawler tow the bus the rest of the way through the parade. So you remember the bus from that? That was its first debut appearance.
It's doing a little better now.
And the full adventure, almost like you know, it's like a ski version of something out of the Lord of the Rings. I know the way you just describe it there in the intro, at least Patty O'Connell does. I feel like kind of speaks to that. So we'll leave it there. If you want to check out this awesome Made In Voyage film, again, that's the title of the film, Made In Voyage. You know, Thursday, November 12th at 7 p.m. It's going to be hosted by Picture Organic Clothing. The URL is a little bit confusing, so we'll just link to it here in the description. Check it out there. And it's something in this day and age with everything that's going on, I think can help people to at the least escape for 25 minutes, and maybe at the best, as I'm sure you guys probably would like, to inspire them to escape for more than just those 25 minutes. So thanks again, guys, for Cody and Kellyn. This is Antonio with the Summit Daily. Thanks for hanging out with us. Later.
Thank you so much.